Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're on a mission. We are setting out to unpack a concept that for so many people feels almost like a myth. Financial freedom.
Mhm.
And I think for most of us when you hear that phrase, it triggers, one single, usually pretty stressful thought.
They need more money.
Exactly. I need more money. People think freedom is just some magic number in a savings account or, maybe winning the lottery.
And that belief, I mean, it's understandable, but that's precisely where the trap is.
Yeah.
What we've really pulled from all these sources is a crucial redefinition.
Okay.
Financial freedom isn't really about having more money. Not necessarily. It's about having choice.
Choice. I like that.
It's the absolute ability to align your resources with your values.
That's it. Yeah, the choice to live your life entirely on your terms. I mean, the
Right.
choice to walk away from a job that's draining you because your time is more valuable.
Sure. Or to pursue work that's actually meaningful to you.
Right. Spending time with the people you love, creating a life that's driven by, purpose, not just necessity.
Exactly.
And yet you look around today and so many people, even people earning really good money, they just feel perpetually trapped.
The golden handcuffs.
Right. They hustle, they work harder, they get the raise, but they're still stuck in that same exhausting cycle of stress and debt and just survival.
And that stress cycle is the central problem that this formula we're looking at really addresses.
Yeah.
Because the core insight here, and it's at every source we looked at, is that financial freedom starts in your mind,
Right.
long, long before it ever shows up in your bank account. The sources are, well, they're definitive on this.
Yeah.
The difference between building lasting wealth and, say, a sudden windfall just disappearing.
Yeah, a lottery winner story.
It's purely down to the underlying mindset and behavior. I mean, we've all seen the stats on lottery winners who are broke a few years later. Their container, you could say, just wasn't ready for what they received.
And on the flip side, you see people who start with absolutely nothing and they build generational wealth. So that's what our deep dive is all about today. We are going to analyze this financial freedom formula, a really structured step-by-step approach that covers that crucial trilogy of transformation: how you think, how you act, and how you plan when it comes to your money.
We're going beyond the simple math. This is about the behavioral and the psychological shifts that you need for real sustainable freedom.
Okay, so where do we start?
Let's start at the absolute beginning.
Yeah.
Because this journey, it doesn't kick off with, downloading a budgeting app or opening an investment account.
No.
The sources all insist it has to start with what they call the non-negotiable decision. This is like chapter 1.
The starting line.
The non-negotiable decision. Okay, let's unpack that. The material really emphasizes that any major life transformation, whether it's getting healthy or starting a business, it all begins with a single defining moment.
And this is that moment where you look at your current reality. Maybe it's that frustration of paying interest on credit card again, or the worry about next month's bills. And you decide with this unshakable commitment that you will no longer tolerate it. You're done with the endless cycle of stress and survival.
You're drawing a line in the sand. That's the image they use.
Yeah.
You stop settling. You declare the old story, my old way of doing things, it stops right here.
It's like a crossroads.
It is. Think of it visually. One path is the default.
Yeah.
It's just drifting, same habits, paycheck to paycheck, the same old worries. The other path, that one leads to freedom. And the only real difference between those two paths is the choice to draw the line right now.
So the question you have to ask yourself is, are you going to keep drifting and just hope things change on their own? Or are you going to commit to actually driving your own future?
And that commitment, that's the fuel. Because without that deep, personal, almost emotional resolve, all the financial strategies in the world are just going to be another phase.
Yeah, you'll try a budget for, 3 weeks, then life gets busy and you just fall right back into the old patterns.
Absolutely. The sources really encourage you to leverage the pain of staying stuck, that sheer frustration of running in place. Use it. Use that feeling to power your first actions, that single non-negotiable choice to take back control. That's the catalyst. That's what generates the momentum you need for the long journey ahead.
Okay, so we've planted the flag. That decision is made. That sets the stage for our first major section here, rewriting the inner script. Because, like we said, everything starts in the mind. If your mental foundation is faulty, everything you try to build on top of it is, it's going to crumble eventually.
Which brings us right to chapter 2. And this is all about uncovering and challenging your money story.
Your money story.
Every single person listening carries this invisible, lifelong script about money. And almost none of us wrote it consciously.
It comes from our childhood, right?
Totally. It's sourced from our earliest memories, our family's relationship with money, our culture, and all those little phrases we just absorbed as kids.
Oh, the classic ones. Money doesn't grow on trees.
We can't afford that.
Or, and this one is maybe more insidious, rich people are greedy, or wealth just brings more problems.
Right. And we heard these little snippets over and over, and they became these deep-seated beliefs that are now running the show from, a subconscious level.
And the impact of those limiting beliefs it's just devastating because they influence every single financial decision you make. And they often lead to unconscious self-sabotage.
Well, think about it. If you truly believe deep down that money is scarce, you're going to operate from a place of fear. You'll hoard it or maybe spend it erratically just to get rid of the anxiety.
And if you believe that wealth makes you a bad person,
You'll unconsciously hit the brakes. Anytime you start to get ahead, you'll find a way to get rid of the money to stay in your comfort zone.
this explains so much. It explains why two people can win the exact same amount of money and have just radically different outcomes.
Exactly. One person has a belief system that supports growth and responsibility, so they use it to build something. The other person is operating from this deep-seated belief that they're not good enough or that money corrupts.
And they find ways to lose it fast,
Right.
just to get back to their financial comfort zone, which, ironically, is scarcity.
So the clarity step, the very first step to changing this, is just awareness. The material suggests you actively listen to your internal dialogue.
What are you saying to yourself?
Exactly. When you pay a bill, do you feel anxiety? When you look at your savings, is there a feeling of shame or guilt? Those self-doubting thoughts, I'll never get ahead, I don't deserve this, or the classic, I'm just not good with money, those are the clues. They're pointing directly to the limiting script you're running.
And once you identify them, you have to challenge them. This is where the work really starts. You have to confront that old belief. Ask yourself, is this absolutely 100% true? Or is it just a story I inherited? Where did I even learn this? And maybe most importantly, does this belief serve the person I want to become?
That last one is key.
Right. And you challenge it with action. If you find yourself always avoiding checking your bank account, you're letting the old story, the fear and the shame run your life.
So you challenge that by just opening the app.
Just open the app, face the number, however small it is. That tiny action reinforces a new belief, which is, I'm in control now.
And here is a concept that's really powerful for neutralizing all that fear.
Yeah.
It's the idea of neutralizing money itself.
Okay.
The source material contends that money isn't inherently good or evil. It is absolutely neutral. It's just a tool. It's an amplifier.
It amplifies who you already are.
Exactly. If you're a generous person, having more money just allows you to be more generous on a wider scale. If you're creative, money lets you fund those creative projects.
That reframing takes all the moral weight and the guilt off the act of acquiring wealth. It moves the focus from being rich to doing good things with the tools you have.
Precisely. Which brings us to the rewrite. And we're not talking about just repeating generic affirmations that feel completely false.
No, I am a money magnet if you have $5 to your name.
Right. We're talking about crafting an empowering belief system that actually feels credible and true to you right now. So if your old belief was, I'll never be good with money, the replacement has to be believable.
Something like, I'm learning to master money one step at a time.
Perfect. And I'm getting better and smarter every day. It's a process, not an overnight switch.
And this is where the consistency comes in. It has to be reinforced by action.
Yes.
When you track your spending for the first time, or when you set up that first automatic savings transfer, even if it's just for $5, you are giving tangible proof to your subconscious mind that the new script is real.
You're actively authoring your financial future.
And every conscious decision is the ink on that page.
I love that. That's a great image. And that idea of consistent action, it leads us seamlessly into Chapter 3. Thinking like the wealthy, acting like the free. Because changing your thinking has to immediately drive different actions.
Right. The distinction isn't just about having wealth. It's about operating from a mental system that's programmed for growth and possibility, not scarcity and survival.
And the paradigm shift is, it's fundamental. Most people view money as something they work for. It's a finite exchange of time and energy for a paycheck.
But wealthy thinkers, they flip that script completely.
They do. They don't just work for money, they compel money to work for them. They're constantly asking, how can this dollar I earn today multiply itself tomorrow.
That one question, it changes everything. It reframes saving and investing as acts of multiplication, not just consumption or survival.
Right.
But let's get practical. What does that look like in daily problem solving? Most people, when they face an unexpected bill, they see a closed door. A big car repair bill comes up.
I can't afford this.
I can't afford this. And they immediately default to defeat or, worse, high-interest debt.
But the wealthy thinkers, the sources suggest, ask that tiny but incredibly powerful question. How can I afford this?
Just that slight change in wording.
That slight change shifts your mental search engine from defeat to solution. It forces your mind to look for creative avenues. Can I sell something I don't use? Can I find a temporary side gig? Can I cut a non-essential expense I didn't even realize was there?
It turns a roadblock into a puzzle to be solved.
That's it. It's the difference between an open mindset and a scarcity mindset. And that is why we have to be so protective of what we allow into our heads.
If you're constantly feeding your mind negativity, doom and gloom news, friends who are always complaining, the belief that the system is rigged, you are reinforcing that scarcity trap.
Intentional input is absolutely non-negotiable. You have to deliberately seek out content and conversations that are focused on growth, on strategy, on opportunity.
It means turning off the noise.
And focusing on learning and executing. And probably the most recognizable trait of this mindset is the powerful embrace of delayed gratification.
This is a big one. Wealthy thinkers are famous for being willing to sacrifice short-term comfort for that long-term exponential gain.
This might mean skipping a fancy vacation this year to fund an investment.
Right.
Or driving a practical, modest car for years while quietly accumulating assets that actually generate income.
This is the direct opposite of the trap of looking rich instead of becoming rich. That cycle of spending money you don't have yet just to impress people you probably don't even like, that is what locks people deeper into the struggle.
Freedom is the goal. Appearance is just a costly distraction from it.
And crucially, this mindset includes focusing entirely on your own progress, not external comparison.
Yes. Wealthy thinkers compete only with their past selves. They're asking, am I financially better off today than I was last year? Or 5 years ago?
Because comparing yourself to your neighbors or to some curated feed on social media is a guaranteed path to financial misery.
Whereas competing with your own personal baseline ensures you're always moving forward. And finally, you have to pair that thinking with action.
Acting like the free.
Acting like the free means behaving today like someone who already values and prioritizes freedom. This isn't about magical thinking, it's about discipline.
A free thinker chooses to invest in their skills or a side business over buying the new gadget.
Exactly. They set up automatic savings as a declaration that their future security is the top priority.
When you start to carry yourself as a wealth creator, you just approach life differently. You negotiate with more confidence. You network with intention.
You stop shrinking back from financial opportunities and you start stepping forward, backed by the knowledge that you have agency over your income and your decisions.
Okay, before we move into the practical mechanics of all this, we need to address a crucial external element that underpins this whole mindset shift.
Right. We're talking about Chapter 13, upgrading the circle.
You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
It's an old saying for a reason. It's especially true financially.
And I think this is a huge area of friction for a lot of people. I mean, we love our friends, we love our family, but let's be honest. If your inner circle is made up of people who are constantly spending recklessly or complaining, or who firmly believe that wealth is impossible,
that negative mindset will unconsciously seep into your own thinking. It just lowers your bar for what you believe is acceptable or achievable for yourself.
so intentional proximity is vital.
It is. Successful people deliberately seek out relationships with people who are striving and growing and operating at a higher level than they are. When you join a new circle like that, the conversation just changes.
It's not about gossip anymore.
It's not about gossip or complaining about problems. It's about growth strategies. It's about business opportunities. It's about skill development. It just pulls you up by osmosis.
It's the garden analogy. If you put a struggling plant in rich, fertile soil next to other thriving plants, it suddenly has the resources and the environment it needs to grow naturally.
But if you're the strongest plant in a garden full of weeds and toxic soil,
Your growth becomes this exhausting uphill battle.
right. So the practical steps are immediate and clear. You need to identify people who genuinely inspire you, financially or personally. They don't have to be billionaires. They just have to be growth-oriented.
And then actively increase your exposure to their voices.
Whether that's attending events, asking for a bit of their time, or just reading their books. And crucially, this also requires setting boundaries with the draining relationships.
If your friends only ever want to do things that involve unnecessary spending.
You have to gently suggest alternatives that align with your new goals. A hike or hosting a simple dinner party. You have to protect your focus and your budget like it's your most important asset.
And the sources also acknowledge the power of virtual input, too. I mean, books, podcasts like this one, online communities.
They allow you to integrate wealthy thinkers into your inner circle, influencing your mindset in profound ways even if you never meet them face to face.
I want to push back on this a little because it can sound selfish. When you start making these changes, people can accuse you of becoming boring or only caring about money. How does the formula address that social friction?
It frames the shift not as selfishness, but as stewardship. Your ability to care for and inspire other people is directly limited by your own resources.
Okay.
By prioritizing your own growth and elevating your financial situation, you gain the means to eventually be a light for your family and your friends. You're setting an example, and you're building the capacity to give generously in the future. You have to elevate yourself first before you can effectively lift anyone else.
Okay, that sets us up perfectly. We have the mental foundation, we have the right environment. Now let's get into the hard, practical actions. We're moving into part 2, control before growth, or as the sources call it, plugging the leaks.
And Chapter 5 addresses the crucial early stage. Stop bleeding money. This is where most people make the most common mistake. They believe the answer to any financial problem is always just to earn more.
If I just get a raise.
If I just get a side hustle, everything will be fine.
But the reality is just so stark. If you don't master managing the money you already have, earning more just magnifies the problem.
Right. If you get a $10,000 raise, but you immediately spend an extra $10,000 on lifestyle upgrades, you are exactly where you started, just with more expensive stuff.
This is the leaky bucket analogy.
Exactly. People are trying to pour water in faster hustling, working longer hours, taking second jobs, without ever fixing the holes in the bucket, which are their spending habits.
They're confusing activity with actual progress.
And the formulas are clear.
Mm-hmm.
Until you fix the leaks, no amount of income will ever be enough to achieve freedom.
So the solution starts with brutal, honest awareness, the financial audit.
Mm-hmm. The source material instructs you to track every single dollar that leaves your hands for 30 days. And we mean every dollar.
Bank statements, credit cards, cash, the change in your pocket.
The goal is just to see exactly where the energy is flowing. And most people, when they do this, they are shocked by the cumulative damage of the quiet drips.
It's not the big purchases, usually.
No, money isn't typically lost in huge, recognizable chunks. It's lost in the daily rituals. The $4 coffee, the half-dozen unused subscriptions that just auto-renew, the impulse buys on your phone late at night. The cumulative total is the moment of truth.
And the point here isn't to make you feel guilty, it's just to generate clarity. You cannot change what you refuse to face.
Right. And once those leaks are identified, we have to tackle the psychological core of the issue. Emotional spending, that destructive habit of buying things to relieve stress or fill a void or impress other people.
The material offers a really powerful tool for this, the pause question.
Right.
Before every non-essential purchase, you just stop, you pause, and you ask yourself, does this expense move me closer to financial freedom or further away?
That simple pause introduces necessary friction between the impulse and the action. It forces an alignment check against your main vision.
And this is key. Intentional cutting back does not mean you have to be miserable.
Yeah.
It's about prioritizing things that truly matter to you versus wasting resources on things you barely even notice or care about. You're not depriving yourself. You're just reallocating your resources toward the future you genuinely want to build.
It's about giving your money direction. The employee analogy here is excellent. Imagine your money as employees who work for you. You assign every single dollar a specific job.
Essentials, debt repayment, savings, investment, and fun money too.
And the non-negotiable rule is, no dollar is allowed to wander aimlessly. Because an aimless dollar quickly becomes a wasted dollar. When you stop the bleeding, you create the space you need for growth.
And speaking of bleeding, the most significant and toxic leak for most people is debt. Chapter 7 focuses entirely on escaping the chains of debt.
The formula identifies debt as the greatest thief of both freedom and peace of mind.
It's fundamentally parasitic, isn't it? It steals your hard-earned money directly through interest payments. You're working tirelessly, but a big chunk of your energy is just going to someone else.
And even worse, it steals your peace of mind. It creates stress, anxiety, and it limits your most important resource, which is choice.
Debt ties you to your current situation. It limits your ability to change jobs or relocate or start that business you've been dreaming of. It forces you to play it safe.
So the first step is facing reality. This requires honesty and courage. You have to list every single detail of every single debt.
Credit cards, student loans, car loans, everything.
Total amount owed, the specific interest rate, and the minimum monthly payment for each one. Clarity is power. You have to overcome any shame or avoidance that keeps you in the dark about your true situation.
And once you have that clarity, you choose your battle plan. The sources detail the two most common and effective strategies: the debt snowball and the debt avalanche.
Okay, let's break those down, because while consistency is more important than the specific math, understanding the difference is key to choosing the right psychological approach for you. The debt snowball is all about behavioral momentum.
Right. With the snowball, you ignore the interest rates at first, and you just focus on paying off the debt with the smallest balance.
You make minimum payments on everything else, and you throw every extra penny you can find at that smallest debt. Once that one's gone, you take the money you were paying on it and you roll that entire amount into the next smallest balance.
The power of the snowball is the quick wins. You get that immediate psychological boost of seeing a debt just disappear. And that fuels your motivation to keep going, especially if you have a lot of small debts that feel overwhelming.
Conversely, the debt avalanche is mathematically superior. You list the debts by interest rate and you attack the one with the highest rate first, regardless of the balance.
This strategy minimizes the total interest you pay over the life of the debt, so it saves you the most money in the long run.
But the trade-off is that it might take longer to see that first debt completely eliminated. It requires more psychological discipline.
So you choose the one that fits your personality. If you need motivation quickly, go snowball. If you're patient and detail-oriented, go avalanche. But the sources all stress that debt management is overwhelmingly behavioral, not just mathematical.
You have to change the habits that led you into debt in the first place. You have to learn to delay gratification, stop relying on credit cards.
And here's a critical safety net detail. Even while you're aggressively paying down debt, you have to build a small emergency fund.
Some sources say $1,000, others say maybe 1 month's rent. This microfund prevents you from reaching for a credit card when the inevitable unexpected expense, a flat tire, a minor medical bill, pops up.
And the non-negotiable rule through all of this is fundamental: no new debt.
Put the credit cards in a drawer. Freeze them in a block of ice if you have to. You just cannot empty the water from a sinking boat if you're still drilling new holes in it. You have to commit fully to being debt-free.
Every consistent payment you make is more than just a transaction. It's a declaration of independence.
That's a great way to put it. You move from a position of bondage to one of control. You realize you don't have to live under the weight of lenders forever. That clarity and freedom, that's what establishes the foundation for the next phase: growth.
So, foundation established, leaks plugged. Now we accelerate. We move to part 3, the growth engine. The challenge is, how do we intentionally accelerate growth instead of just running harder on the same treadmill? We start with chapter 4, the power of intentional earning.
Most people, the formula suggests, earn money unconsciously. They accept a salary, and the money flows out just as quickly as it came in. It's pure reaction, not strategy. They're living financially by chance, not by design.
Intentional earning requires directing every dollar toward a clear vision. It begins with the simple but powerful question: why am I earning this money in the first place?
Right. Is it to pay down the last of the student loans? Is it to fund a down payment for a house? The earning method and the velocity have to align with that goal. If your goal is vague, like I want to be comfortable, your actions will be vague, and so will your results.
And we have to introduce the concept of scalability. You have to ask yourself, is my current way of earning scalable? Or am I stuck trading my hours for dollars forever, which has a hard ceiling?
Wealthy people understand that true freedom requires decoupling your time from your income. They focus on income streams not limited by the clock. Investments, scalable businesses, high-value skills that command a premium.
This is a slow shift, right? It's moving from a fragile, single-source, income-one job to diverse, resilient, sustainable sources.
Yeah.
And that leads directly to how we manage our time.
Yes. Wealthy thinkers treat time as their most valuable, non-renewable asset. They ruthlessly focus on high-impact activities. They're always asking, what is the highest and best use of my skills right now?
Let's ground that with some specifics, because high impact can sound a little abstract. If you're a consultant, low-value activities might be scheduling meetings or answering routine emails.
Right. High-impact activities are creating your core content, pitching high-paying clients, or developing a systematized offering. Intentional earners look to delegate, automate, or just eliminate low-value tasks. You use technology to handle the routine stuff so you can spend your time on things that actually multiply your income.
And if a listener is working a full-time job, they might think, well, I can't delegate anything.
But intentional earning in that context means saying no to low-alignment opportunities, even if they offer quick cash, because they distract you from the bigger picture. It also means investing your free time in continuous learning. Your earning potential naturally stagnates if your knowledge and your abilities do.
Exactly. Intentional earning is deeply connected to continuous learning. The commitment to upgrading your skills, understanding new market trends, or mastering a difficult piece of software, that's what opens the door to higher paying jobs, better consulting rates, and smarter investment choices.
And this all ties back to the seed analogy. Every dollar that flows through your hands is a seed. Most people just scatter their seeds carelessly, buying frivolous things, letting money sit idle in a low-interest account, and then they wonder why nothing grows.
Intentional earning means planting those seeds deliberately in fertile soil, in a growing business, in your education, in reliable investments, and then nurturing them until they multiply. You have to stop drifting. Direct your money like a strategic gardener.
And to supercharge that intentionality, we move into Chapter 8. Multiply your earning streams. The reliance on a single paycheck creates an unacceptable level of financial fragility.
A job loss or an illness can wipe out your stability overnight. Multiple streams create resilience, which is a core part of freedom.
The river system analogy is perfect here. If one river runs dry due to a drought, the other rivers keep the system flowing, ensuring stability and continuous growth.
And the encouraging news here is that this isn't just for the ultra-rich. Everyone can begin adding streams with what they already have.
First, we have to clarify the distinction between the two types of income. Active income is the traditional trade of time for work. Your salary, hourly wages, consulting gigs requires constant active effort.
And passive income is money that flows even when you're not actively working. Things like investments, royalties from digital products, or rental income.
Right. And that requires a massive initial effort to build. But once it's established, it provides the ultimate freedom.
The sources advise starting small. Look at your current skills or passions. What can you monetize on the side? Tutoring, freelance writing, organizing services, specialized consulting. The goal is just to start the flow, not to be perfect right away.
And here's the critical warning. You must not use the new income stream for an immediate lifestyle upgrade.
Oh, that's the trap.
It's the quickest way to kill the stream's potential. You have to channel that extra income aggressively toward debt repayment, savings, or investments to accelerate your path to freedom.
Give us that specific example the source detailed, the power of channeling that extra resource.
Okay, so let's say a listener uses their professional skills to freelance for an extra 4 hours a week, and it generates an extra $300 a month.
Okay.
Initially, they channel that entire $300 into paying off a high-interest credit card. Once that card is at zero, they take that same $300 and immediately automate its investment into a low-cost index fund.
So now, that $300 isn't just repaying old debt, it's building future assets. It's compounding over time into a powerful force.
That is the difference between working for money and making money work for you.
And that requires a major shift in identity. You have to stop thinking like an employee and start thinking like an owner, a creator, a solution provider.
You stop asking, how can I earn a little more at my job? You start asking, how can I create something valuable that earns money even when I'm asleep?
And alignment prevents burnout. Don't chase every shiny idea. Choose streams that align with your genuine values, your natural strengths, and your long-term vision.
If you love teaching, create an online course. If you love optimizing spaces, launch an organizing consultancy. That integration ensures you'll stick with it long enough to see the stream stabilize.
Okay, let's zoom in on that idea of creation in Chapter 9. Turning skills into cash-flowing assets. The material is very explicit here. Your personal knowledge, your skills, your unique experiences are your single most powerful and often untapped wealth-building tool.
Most people only see their job title as their path to income. They're missing the gold mine they're already sitting on.
Every successful product or service exists because someone recognized a common problem and turned their unique skill set into a valuable solution.
The difference between those who are stuck and those who are building freedom is the vision to recognize their existing value and the discipline to learn how to package and monetize it repeatedly.
So, how do we identify that untapped value? The sources suggest a personal inventory. Ask yourself, what do people consistently come to me for help with? What do I do effortlessly that others find difficult? What specific knowledge have I gained through my career that could solve a pain point for a paying customer?
And write it all down, even if it feels mundane or obvious to you. Because if it solves someone else's problem, it has financial value.
And once you've identified it, you define the asset. And an asset, in this context, is something that continues to generate value or income long after the initial creation work is done.
Your teaching skill becomes an online course or a template. Your industry expertise becomes a white paper or a coaching package. This is how you escape that time for money trap.
But I want to introduce a point of friction here because I know the listener is thinking this. What about the common barriers? Specifically, confidence that who would pay me for this?
Fear. That confidence barrier or imposter syndrome is huge. The formula addresses this by reminding us that people don't just pay for information. They pay for connection, for trust, for reliability, and for your unique voice.
So in a crowded field, your personal story and your specific way of teaching is what sets you apart.
Exactly. You don't need to be the absolute expert in the world. You just need to be 2 steps ahead of the person you're serving.
And the second barrier is time. If you're already working 50 hours a week, where do you find the energy to create an asset?
The answer is in consistency and compounding, just like investing. You have to acknowledge the time commitment, but stress that even 1 or 2 hours a day, consistently applied to asset creation, it compounds into something meaningful over a 6 to 12-month period.
That small, daily effort is the alternative to staying stuck. If you're currently spending those 2 hours scrolling social media or watching TV,
You're choosing to stay an employee rather than becoming a creator.
this shift is ultimately one of profound empowerment. It moves you from feeling reliant on your employer to being a wealth creator who holds the keys to their own income. Your potential wealth isn't out there waiting for permission. It's already inside you, waiting to be organized and deployed.
Now that we've covered intentional earning, we have to address the ultimate multiplication tool, investing. Chapter 10 is invest like a builder, not a gambler.
We have to reject both extremes. Treating investing like a casino for quick gains, or avoiding it completely out of fear, which just allows inflation to silently eat your savings.
True investing is slow, it's steady, and it's strategic. It's a tool for building, not for betting.
I love the builder analogy. You don't start building a house by gambling on the foundation.
No, you start with a blueprint, you lay a strong base, and you add piece by piece with discipline. And that process has to align with your ultimate vision for financial freedom.
That's why the blueprint, the why, has to come first. Are you investing for retirement, for a long sabbatical, for generational wealth? That defined purpose is your compass. It's what prevents you from having emotional reactions during the inevitable market downturns.
And for beginners, we have to emphasize starting simple and starting small. The core principle is that time in the market matters far more than timing the market. Trying to guess when the stock market will rise or fall is gambling. Consistently putting money in is building.
And the specific vehicle recommended by almost every reputable source is low-cost index funds. We should go a little deeper on this for our audience.
An index fund is basically a basket that holds small pieces of many different companies, mirroring a major market index like the S&P 500.
And what's critical here, and often missed by beginners, is the detail on fees. Index funds have notoriously low expense ratios because they're passively managed.
Right. They don't have high-paid managers trying to beat the market. They just track the market. And over 30 years, those low fees dramatically outperform high-fee, actively managed mutual funds, even if the latter have a few great years. You're protecting your capital from being eroded by unnecessary costs.
And we have to stress the danger of chasing hype. Be wary of speculative ventures, meme stocks, or complicated financial products that promise quick wins.
By the time those ideas hit the mass media, the smart money has already made its profits and moved on. Builders stick to the steady plan, diversification and consistency.
This is where emotional management is paramount. Fear and greed are destructive forces. Fear causes you to sell during a dip, locking in your losses.
And greed causes you to buy during a boom, ensuring you overpay. The antidote is education and discipline. If you understand that short-term fluctuations are just noise, and your plan is for 20 or 30 years, you stop reacting emotionally.
As your portfolio grows, diversification is your shield. Don't put all your capital into one sector or one asset class. Balance across stocks, bonds, maybe some real estate. It protects your stability if one area experiences turbulence.
And finally, let's bring compounding to life. The sources call it the most powerful force, but what does that actually mean?
It's interest, earning interest on itself.
Right. Think of it like a snowball rolling down a hill. Initially, the ball is small, and it gathers snow slowly. But as it rolls further, the snowball gets exponentially larger, and therefore it picks up snow exponentially faster. After 10 years, your growth is driven mostly by the interest earned on your interest, not just your initial contributions.
It requires absolute consistency and, most importantly, time. That's why starting young, even with small amounts, beats starting late with massive amounts.
Which sets us up for the long game, sustaining all this growth. Money does not manage itself. And part 4 is dedicated to the systems that turn chaos into order. Chapter 11. Build unshakable financial systems.
If you treat your money casually, it's going to treat you the same way. But if you treat it seriously, with structure and discipline and clarity, it will grow and work for you reliably.
And systems are what keep your progress steady when life inevitably gets busy or distracting.
The first system, often misunderstood, is the budget. And we have to frame it not as a tool of deprivation or punishment, but as a proactive, intentional plan for your money's flow.
It's a plan that ensures every dollar gets a job, essentials, debt repayment, savings, investment, and enjoyment. The goal is clarity and intention, not cutting every single non-essential thing out of your life.
And the critical mechanical tool for maintaining that budget is automation.
You have to automate your savings and investments to happen immediately after you get paid. This removes the temptation to spend money before it reaches your long-term goals.
Relying on willpower alone will fail when you're tired or stressed. The system works automatically, consistently growing your money without your constant intervention.
We discussed the small fund during debt payoff, but the next evolution is the essential safety net, the fully funded emergency fund.
The sources detail aiming for 3 to 6 months of living expenses, rent, groceries, utilities, in a separate, high-yield, accessible savings account.
This fund is your financial shield. It prevents unexpected events, a car breakdown, a job layoff, a sudden medical bill, from derailing your long-term investment plan and pushing you straight back into high-interest debt. It buys you time and peace of mind during a crisis.
And protecting the base also means insurance. Health, car, home, and life insurance are non-negotiable safeguards. These are the unexciting acts of love that protect your entire financial future from one catastrophic disaster.
Skipping these safeguards is risking decades of wealth, building on a single event. It's like leaving the front door wide open when you leave the house.
I appreciate the focus on clarity here too. The sources suggest using separate bank accounts for different purposes. One for bills, one for short-term savings, one for investments.
This separation eliminates the confusion of the everything in one account, which often leads to overspending. You always know exactly what money is allocated for essentials and what is allocated for freedom. That clarity saves immense mental energy.
And like any system, consistency is required. One good month of budgeting doesn't equal freedom. You need regular check-ins, a monthly review of your budget, your goals, and your progress to ensure your systems are still aligned with your life and evolving needs.
And as we discuss systems, we have to address the lifestyle choices that either support or sabotage them. Chapter 12 is Live Simply, Build Greatly.
This is the paradox of modern wealth. The fastest way to stay broke is to constantly try to look rich.
True wealth is built on what you keep, what you invest, and what you grow. You can earn a massive salary, but if you're perpetually chasing a consumption-driven lifestyle designed to impress your peers, you will constantly feel stressed and cash poor.
Simplicity is not deprivation. It is a profound strategy. The less you spend on things that provide fleeting value, the more resources are freed up to grow your future. You're cutting out the waste and the noise so you can focus your resources on the growth engine we just discussed.
And the most powerful habit here is intentionally living below your means. This means making the disciplined choice to keep your lifestyle expenses 1 or 2 steps behind your income growth.
So when you get a raise or when your side business income increases, you do not immediately upgrade your car or your house or your wardrobe to match that new income level.
You keep your fixed expenses stable, and you aggressively direct the difference, that gap between your old income and your new income, to wealth building. This decision, repeated over decades, is the single greatest separator between those who achieve freedom and those who fall into the trap of lifestyle inflation.
Let's focus on that trap. Lifestyle inflation. When your income rises, your spending gradually, almost invisibly, rises to match it.
And you end up with the same level of stress and the same lack of savings, just with fancier problems.
The antidote is intentional living, focusing on valuing experiences, personal growth, and most importantly, your time and your freedom over acquiring more possessions.
Simplicity also extends to decluttering your commitments, reviewing recurring payments, subscriptions, and financial obligations. Fewer moving parts means less stress, less leakage, and greater clarity in your overall financial structure.
The ultimate takeaway of this chapter is the paradox. Living simply often makes you feel richer. Less stress, lighter financial obligations, greater control, and the accelerating pace of compounding wealth toward true freedom.
So we have the systems and the intentional simplicity, but the formula requires a constant guiding force, that lighthouse we mentioned earlier. This brings us back to Chapter 6, building a vision that pulls you forward.
Hope is not a strategy. Without a clear, compelling vision for what financial freedom looks like for you, you are guaranteed to drift into following someone else's plan. And that plan is usually designed to extract value from you, not make you free.
And when challenges inevitably arise, the vision is what acts as the anchor. It's what guides you back onto the correct course.
A vision has to be specific and deeply personal. It's not enough to say, I want to be rich. You have to define success on your own terms. What exact kind of lifestyle do I want? How do I want to spend my days? Who do I want to help? The answer needs to connect the financial number to a tangible feeling or outcome.
The sources detail the 5-year exercise. You dedicate time to mentally visualize 5 years into the future, assuming you've successfully implemented this formula.
Where are you living? What are your daily activities? Who are you surrounded by? And crucially, what is the feeling of peace and purpose you experience? You have to write this down in vivid detail. This visualization connects the discipline today to the reward of tomorrow.
Then you break that large vision down into tangible goals, or milestones: paying off the car, fully funding the emergency fund, hitting a specific passive income target. These milestones act as a roadmap, and they prevent the overwhelm that comes from focusing only on the distant future.
This connects wealth directly to purpose. True freedom is the ability to live in alignment with your deepest values, whether that's giving generously, spending uninterrupted time with family, or building a sustainable legacy. That deeper, emotionally resonant drive is what keeps you motivated when the market drops or the budget feels tight.
Critically, the vision acts as a filter. When you are crystal clear about what you are aiming for, daily choices become instant. That impulse purchase or that risky get-rich-quick scheme immediately loses its appeal because you recognize that it takes you further away from your specific, emotionally charged vision. It separates distractions from priorities with perfect clarity.
Finally, we move into part 5, resilience and legacy. This is the long game. And we have to acknowledge in Chapter 14 that financial storms are not possible. They are inevitable.
Absolutely. Job loss, unexpected medical crises, market crashes, a failed business venture setbacks are inherent to the journey of wealth building. The difference between those who get stuck and those who rise to a new height is purely defined by their response to the storm. You cannot let the setback define your future identity.
The first step to bouncing back is facing reality without shame or regret. Avoid blame. Focus entirely on what matters now. Gather the facts, your current debts, your remaining income streams, your savings. Clarity is the essential first step to recovery.
The required shift is from victim to practical problem solver. Don't wallow in self-pity. Take action no matter how small or unglamorous. Cutting expenses drastically, taking on a temporary side hustle, negotiating payment plans with lenders. Small, consistent actions build momentum, and momentum quickly rebuilds confidence and hope.
And every single storm holds priceless lessons that you must extract. Maybe you learn you needed a larger, more liquid emergency fund, or perhaps you realize you hadn't sufficiently diversified your income streams. These lessons, internalized and acted upon, become the wisdom that prevents far greater failures in the future.
As you rebuild, don't just aim to get back to your previous standing, aim higher. Use the storm as fuel to create a fundamentally stronger financial foundation. A higher savings rate, reinforced systems, and more robustly diversified streams. Resilience means not just surviving the crisis, but thriving because of the wisdom you gain from it.
That leads us to the final piece, Chapter 15. Leave a legacy that outlives you. This reminds us that true wealth is ultimately measured by what you pass on, not just what you build and consume for yourself.
Legacy is the lasting mark you leave on the world. It extends far beyond bank account numbers. It is the values you instill, the lessons you share, and the opportunities you create for future generations in your community. The question shifts from how much can I accumulate to what do I want to be fundamentally remembered for?
The sources are clear that legacy begins with education. If you've successfully mastered the formula for financial freedom, you have a non-negotiable duty to pass down that wisdom: how to budget, how to save, how to invest patiently, and how to give generously. Passing down wisdom is far more valuable than simply passing down money, which can often be quickly wasted if the recipient lacks the necessary mindset.
And you must protect the structure. The unfun tasks, creating a legally sound will, establishing trusts, ensuring adequate life insurance, are the greatest acts of love you can commit. They provide clarity, security, and protection for your family, safeguarding the wealth you've built from being destroyed by probate issues, legal fees, or unforeseen disaster.
Legacy also extends beyond the family unit. It encompasses community impact funding scholarships, donating to causes you believe in, or giving your time and expertise. Legacy is about the heart and intention behind the gift, using your resources as a force multiplier for good in the world.
Living with legacy in mind fundamentally changes your daily decisions. You stop asking, what can this money do for me right now? And start asking, how can this money serve my family, my community, and others for decades to come?
Your actions are the greatest teacher. Model discipline, model generosity, and model intentional living. Your legacy is not something you decide on your deathbed. It is lived every single day through the choices you make.
So let's synthesize the financial freedom formula one last time. We analyzed the necessity of the mindset foundation, the decision, the story, the vision, the non-negotiable step of controlled debt elimination and plugging the leaks, the strategic phase of growth multiple income streams and builder-like investing, and finally, the long game of legacy unshakable systems, simplicity, and resilience.
The formula is comprehensive, it is structured, and it works if you work it consistently. And here is the final takeaway for you, the listener. You don't need to be perfect, and you certainly don't need to implement all 15 chapters today. You just need to take one intentional step that reinforces your new decision. One small habit, one intentional transfer, one moment of challenging your old story. Over time, those consistent small actions will compound into the freedom you desire, just as wealth does.
The life you desire is worth every ounce of disciplined effort.
So as you close out this deep dive, take a moment to consider this provocative thought and carry it with you.
Yeah.
What will your new financial narrative be? Focus specifically on the moment you realize money is no longer something you fear or constantly fight against, but a powerful, neutral partner you actively employ in building the precise life you truly desire. The first, most important chapter of that new story begins right now. Go create it.